All right, John.
All right, so, this is a pretty contentious thing, and again, I appreciate everybody, all their comments. Quite honestly, it's a pretty balanced room based upon my tally, and I appreciate all the thoughts. I've been in the Parker area 36 years. I'm not a gun guy, but I grew up around guns. Going to Ponderosa High School, it wasn't uncommon to see somebody having a shotgun in the back of their truck because they forgot to bring it into the house because they went out shooting with their parents or friends over the weekend. So, to me, I'm kind of desensitized to the gun and the fear that sort of came up. To me, it's one of those things that I kind of have to look at what the question is. And the question is, it's a use by special review. It's a use that's approved, but we got to take a look at the criteria to ensure that some of these things have been met. Coming into this, my issues or questions were on criteria number 1, will be in harmony and compatible with the character of the surrounding areas and neighborhoods. Number 7, will not cause significant air, water, or noise pollution. So to me, I had some questions on the noise, and I appreciate Councilmember Pogue's questions on the air and the applicant's responses. So to me, will not be in harmony or compatible with the character of surrounding areas. To me, being around this area, I know this area is more recreation than anything else. Parker and Lone Tree had sort of an agreement that this area here was going to be part of what we call the Green Mile, which is going to be kind of open space. It was going to kind of fill up or kind of be attached to the Reuter Hess property. So to me, you're on the outer edge of development. This was added, if you will, as a development piece when the houses came in, the commercial came in. Commercial has certain uses by right, certain uses by special review. So to me, I kind of view this as a commercial. What kind of solidifies that to me is the 4-lane Chambers Road. That's a physical barrier to me based on my previous experiences. I would sort of view anything west, specifically southwest, as sort of being an area which is sort of the area that I would need to figure out if it's in harmony and compatible. So, for me, with the exception of those houses, I agree that this recreation applicant is in harmony with what I perceive to be a recreational area. You're on the outer edges of development. It's the last development piece before you get into open space, and to me, the use makes sense from that standpoint. So, to me, I can't. I'm agreeable to item 1. Item 7 will not cause significant air, water, and noise pollution. I think the applicant really, with the HVAC comments, addressed for me what was sort of sent in from other people regarding lead and other issues that were potentially airborne challenges. And then noise, I had a few questions. Again, I also, just being around guns, if you will, and going to some gun clubs and sitting in back of where the active shooting ranges are, 15, 20 feet away from the back of it, where shots were being effectively fired toward me inside, could not hear it. To me, I'm comfortable with the conditions. The town has something in there. We're going to hire a third party to kind of oversee some of this. So to me, I can't get to a denial. All my questions have been answered, and based upon the criteria and the question at hand, I have to support this applicant.
Okay. Debbie? I personally don't own a gun, and everyone in here is really happy about that, I can assure you. But I did grow up around firearms. I lived in the country on 40 acres, 2 different places that I lived. Was a pretty good shot when I was young. Have not fired a weapon in many, many years. I was concerned about some of the things that John has already mentioned, and I didn't ask this question, but I'm assuming based on what someone else had said that if there were to be an air quality scenario, that it would be shut down and the facility would be evacuated until it was up and running in a proper manner. Yes, Paul?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Okay. All right.
Sorry, I had to make sure the mic was on.
So, with compatibility of what was intended and what is there and what has gone on, and I counted. I mean, it's almost on the money. 27 for, 26 no. I don't know if anyone else got
That's right on.
something different, since math is not my best subject. So I have a lot of mixed feelings on this. Being a grandmother of 4, I understand why people would be concerned about children being so close. But I've been by some of the gun ranges. I could not hear anything. So the noise factor is not a concern to me. That was answered. I do have. I think that people will be surprised if they go to other places, and it won't alleviate your concern over if there is an unintended discharge, if I'm saying that correctly, and never having participated at a gun range. I'm assuming that people come there with not with their weapons loaded, and if there will be some type of security in the parking lot that would oversee that sort of scenario, would make me feel better. But I didn't copy off of John's notes, but since it's after 11 o'clock, I don't need to repeat some of the things that he said, so I cannot find a way to vote against this project either.
Okay. Renee?
First of all, I'd like to say thank you for everybody that's still hanging with us tonight, and for everybody
Yes.
that got up and did public comment. We do appreciate it. Also, all of the Facebook, social media posts, and all of the people that spent a lot of time sending us, quite frankly, some very thoughtful emails about their opinions on this project. Lots, and thank you. We appreciate it. I do have a concealed carry. I also have taken numerous hunter safety courses. I hunt, I shoot, I have a gun, I go to gun ranges. I find no validity in any of the comments regarding noise levels or any of the comments regarding lead. I've been around it too much. So what I really had to consider here tonight was the argument about harmony. And I believe that shooting is a sport. I believe that archery is a sport. And I listened as hard as I could on the harmony cases, and I cannot find a reason not to support this project either.
Thank you very much. Jeff?
So I am like my colleagues to the left. I struggled in, this is my first big vote, obviously, so I've highlighted, I've yellow dotted, green dotted where I was good, and what it came down to me was for the use of harmony. So when I went and looked at it, I looked and said, what could be used in a special review? And it's items like auto and truck repairs, veterinary clinics, caretaker residency, outdoor flea markets, service stations, et cetera, et cetera. So then I went and looked at, because I'm not a gun, I'm a staunch Republican. I believe in the Second Amendment. So to me, this is not about guns, not even about safety. I trust that Ryan and his team are going to put together the best safety that they can to support it. To me, it got down to what have other people done in terms of usage. So I went and I pulled up Centennial Gun Club. I picked up, Family Shooting Center. I picked up bristlecone out in Lakewood, and nothing within those are as close to a residence. And to me, that's the part of it that's not harmonious, is the 200 feet from the nearest residence, whether there's sound, whether there's noise, and that's where I could not get to a yes, unlike my colleagues who couldn't get to a no. So that's where I'm at.
Cheryl?
Okay, obviously, based on my initial questions, I was concerned about the applicant's submittals for lead and acoustics, but I think with the consensus of town staff, if this were to proceed, they would make sure those things are actually handled well. I too would like to see a gun range in Parker. However, I find that we are not in harmony with the surrounding community here. As much as I'd like to have a gun range, I don't feel I can support this one in this location. I'm opposed.
Okay. Josh?
Thank you. First and foremost, to the room, to all the testimony, this is probably the most well-behaved I have seen this room ever. I thank you. I thank you very, very much for maintaining decorum, maintaining the respect that this room of your town hall deserves. I can't say how much it means to us that you come in and offer your heartfelt testimony and allow others to do the same. So thank you very much for that. And I appreciate also all the testimony online. As Mike has said in the past, and as we can't respond, but we do receive, and we read. Jeff pointed out, we read everything, and everything is taken into consideration. The criteria that stick out to me is obviously 1, harmony, 7, pollution, and 9, further detriment to health and safety and welfare. 1, for harmony, for me, I see this as the letter of the law. I see this as a retail application. That's how I have to look at it. That's my job up here. This is a gun store. This is a retail application that fits in. We're here to deal with what I believe, when I look at use by special review, is the outstanding things. The noise ordinance, the lead abatement, if you will. What is the sound detriment to the neighborhood? What are they going to hear? Decibels, just got HVAC off
I was going to say,
to clear the room.
you said HVAC and the God spoke and the HVAC turned off.
So it's hard for me. I mean, we hear audible levels spoken about, we hear the science of it, but we want the tactile answer. What is 45 decibels at 25 feet versus 32 decibels at 200 feet? Is that audible to that person sitting on their back porch? I want to know that. I want to know if these people that live on Auklet that back to Pelican are going to be able to hear the thump of the rifle. If they can't hear the thump of the rifle, then criteria number 7 has been met. That's it. Obviously, the lead abatement has been met. I have questions about, and this is what staff is for, who comes and checks your filters? What are the responsibilities to change them? Who makes sure you change them? What happens if they rip or tear? What ifs, but that's where the experts come into testimony. So for me, it comes down to item number 7. It comes down to the noise to the folks that live within 200 feet or outside of 200 feet for this. If they can't hear this, and they won't hear this, then my vote has to be yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. So before I call for a motion, there was, out of all the testimony, I just want, normally as mayor, since you guys know, I don't get to vote on stuff, so I usually kind of leave my opinion till after the vote's taken. I'm not going to give an opinion on this right now, but I am going to do something different though. I'm going to thank you guys significantly. Yes, it was pretty much split down the middle. It was 27-26. I know from the Planning Commission meeting, the comments given to me were also the same, that this was one of the most cordial, professional issues that we had in front of us. Unfortunately, the pure hot garbage that's out there right now on social media means that if someone doesn't have your opinion, then most people try to make them into devils and evil and they should be burned at the stake and blah, 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 blah. It is refreshing to see our citizens come out and in a professional way voice their opinions. I'll tell you right now, based on what was done, half of you are not going to be happy with the decision, half of you are going to be happy with the decision, but you should all be very proud of the fact that you participated in your local government and you did it in the 13 years or whatever, how long I've been sitting here, probably one of the most professional ways I've seen. So I want to thank you guys for that. Out of all the testimony, there really was only one question that was directed towards the town, and it was a legal one that I know the answer, but Jim, I need you to answer it and that was, does the town have legal exposure if this is approved and some incident happens there?
So the town never has liability for land use decisions that are made by the town council in the exercise of your legislative authority.
Okay, I just wanted that answered there was one citizen who I had asked that
And
question.
then, and part of the answer you're not gonna like, there's also this thing called the Governmental Immunity Act. So you are essentially immune from liability unless it's one of 6 exceptions, and this certainly is not one of them.
Okay. Josh?
Real quick, some follow-up questions. I just want calibration certification for the engineer.
Thank you. Jeff Kolkowski, Wave Engineering. Yeah, the calibration certificates, we do have them. They were not a part of the report. I was able to look them up online while I sat here. One of the, just to explain, the calibration certificate is when we take our equipment in, and in addition to the calibration we do on site at the beginning of the measurements and after the measurements, we send it into an accredited lab. They run it through their testing and say, A, they say, was it okay when we received it? And B, is it okay when we send it back to you? So we use 2 sound meters at 2 locations. And first of all, the field calibrator that we use in the field was calibrated, was factory certified December 2017, again in January 2019. One of these sound meters was calibrated 2015, and immediately on October 25th, 2018, so immediately after these tests, I believe, were October 5th to the 15th of 2018. So within 2 weeks afterwards, the one was calibrated again and was okay when it was received. The second sound meter was calibrated within a month, September 2018, so weeks before it was used in here.
Excellent, thank you.
Other question?
Yeah, please. Paul, I'm not sure if you want to go into this, but can you talk to us a little bit about the site plan and the requirements that we're going to hold them to as far as a third-party sound tech and answering criteria number 7?
Sure. The intent of that condition is to ensure that the noise is adequately mitigated in accordance with the recommended condition of approval, as well as the HVAC system for the proposed recommended condition of approval as well. And that will be a detailed process that we obviously will get to in the future through a process of selecting a third-party consultant in order to certify, if you will, those results.
Thank you very much. And lastly, for Jim, code. A gentleman brought up, I believe it was 1304 020. I might not have it right, but I know I saw you jotting down notes.
I would defer to community development staff because I don't believe that section of the code comes into play.
That is correct. It is not applicable for this particular request. The site is zoned PD plan development, which means it's a customized zoning specific to this development. Therefore, that zoning governs as opposed to the town's traditional or Euclidean zone districts.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Other questions, Josh?
That's all I got.
Okay. With that, I would either entertain further discussion or a motion, please, on this item.
I got it here.
Everyone's computers have shut down and you don't know the
I
number.
move to approve based upon staff findings with the following conditions contained in the staff report.
We have a motion by John Dyack and a second by Renee Williams. In just a sec, your little boxes will pop up. Debbie's computer has apparently died.
Yes.
I touched it.
Okay, I see screen activity. Don't touch it, Debbie, you'll break it again.
Yeah. Okay, we're good.
Okay, so everyone's screens are up. So Chris, whenever you're ready to throw that little magic box up for them to vote. see anybody with boxes.
I already voted.
Okay, we had one box,
I voted.
2 boxes, and
Do I need to go back and make sure I'm,
Go to the agenda.
technology, look at this.
Go to this. Make your screen up.
We need like paddles.
no, I'm in the meeting and it's not coming up.
Yeah, me either.
Okay, I'll just do a roll call vote then through it. John Dyack,
Yes.
Debbie Lewis,
Yes.
Renee Williams,
Yes.
Jeff Toborg,
No.
Cheryl Pogue,
No.
Josh Rivero.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 4-2, with the 2 opposition being Jeff and Cheryl. With no further business before council, we will adjourn at 11:18 PM. Have a good evening, everybody.
So you can verify.